Gaming kind of came to the doorstep of Native American nations back in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my first introduction. And in my tribe, I'm an enrolled member of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation of Kansas. And my dad had always been involved with the tribe and had stayed close to our business and just our traditions and being who we are. We lived in Kansas. And on our doorstep, when gaming started expanding, it came to Kansas. And we as a tribe wanted to address that. Most tribes had two choices. Look, you either try and figure it out yourself, and most tribes have historically just rich in culture and land, right? And we didn't have a lot of resources to or anything to leverage to provide financing or expertise to even get involved in, like full Las Vegas style Class 3 gaming. But we knew it was happening, it was coming, and to our tribe. One of the biggest gaming companies in the world at the time that was growing was Harris Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Harris came to our reservation and started meeting with our tribal council and said, "Look, we're going to take you down this path and create a management agreement, and we're going to come and work with the tribe and build up your resources, and we will partner and train your tribal members to learn the business, grow in the business, and be a part of it." So. Actually, I was like 18 years old on my reservation, and Harris came in and they went for a vote to the tribe, and this was a pass-fail deal right here. And they came in and pitched it all up and said, we'll make you the greatest casino in the entire region and help train, develop, and support, and sold that message to the tribe, and they voted and they passed it. And then Harris became a Harris Prairie Band Casino and Resort. So here I am, 18, getting ready to go to college, and watching gaming become what it was. And I was in there, and I voted for Harris. So then fast forward, 5 years in my career, going through undergraduate and graduate degree, and I had pursued accounting and had the opportunity to say, well, I'm going to go back to my tribe and work as an intern in the casino and start getting some experience. So, over 20 years ago, I did the internship program and was going to school and helping pay my way through graduate school. I was like a cage supervisor, okay? I mean, I was the greatest at paying jackpots, working the floor, you name it, slinging coins, and made my way through graduate school, and I ended up, going into accounting for a couple of years with Ernst & Young to get my CPA license. But at that point, Harris had been with my tribe for, going on 8, 10 years now, and they had decided, we may pursue going tribally owned and operated. And they reached out to my brother and I, and we left what we were doing, came back to the reservation, and joined a management program with them to get trained and kind of move through the business with Harris. And we did, and end up, kind of getting into a parting of the ways, if you will, with Harris. So, and in the past, sometimes that had not gone good, and so we were very cautious, knowing that although you came to us and asked us you were going to train us and walk away from all this and build it all up. Whenever we said we were going to do that, and we got to that point, it was like, oh, you're going to lose 25% of your business, and you'll going to be destined to fail if you don't, re-sign the contract, this, that, and the other. And ultimately, the nation voted to go tribally owned and operated in the agreement in '06, and I was part of that group. And so we had to mimic all the systems of Harris and re-engineer their entire platform on all verticals of the operations to get ready to do a clean switch over whenever they decided they're going to, pull the rug. It was there were some things that got contentious, especially with the database, and they're leaving, and it's kind of like wasn't all things said, Harris had provided a great opportunity for us and taught us what we needed to do, and we felt that we were going to go on a different path and take that over, and at this time, my dad had become elected to the tribal council and had left his normal job and had become a leader amongst the nation. And so it was an honor there to my brother as well was heading up marketing. I was heading up finance. Dad was working on the tribal council, and here we go. And Harris is gone, and we turn it all over, turnkey, and we ended up breaking one of the largest records that ever existed after Harris had left. But to the point, we did lose 20% of revenue on the top line, so they weren't lying.
Yeah.
But when the management agreements are, let's just say, taking anywhere from 12 to 18% of profits, you can stand to lose. 20% on the top line if you're gaining 15% on the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely,
So now, you get in that position, but you also know that Harris were great at what they did. They were good at development, and we needed to ourselves be able to push and invest the right capital to keep the casino to keep growing. So, my career really began with my nation in gaming, and spent over 10 to 12 years there. And as my dad eventually got elected to tribal chairman, and so it was like a dream come true, riding to work with my brother and going to the reservation. My dad is a tribal leader, and going to community events and running the business and being successful together was, a very great time, when you're just with your family and you're working and fighting and doing things together like that. It is what it is. So, and at some point, as we say, those circles become complete and everything kind of comes to a juncture. Right. And at that point in time, it was, I knew I wanted to continue to grow my role into bigger casinos and bigger opportunities, and I always wanted to work for tribes across the country. So at this point, I had sat down and talked with my family and said, all right, what if I went for an opportunity with a bigger tribe and started saying, I'm traditionally a finance guy although I'd been a director of food and beverage, a financial controller, a cage supervisor, regulatory compliance, and a slot attendant. I'd amassed myself into a CFO role, so I decided, do I want to go operations? And I had an opportunity to be an assistant general manager, and I took off down to the Mexico border and worked for the KTTT, the Kickapoo Traditional Tribe of Texas. So they were great to work with, and brought me in, made me feel like home. I moved down to the Mexico border, and it's been a little under 2 years there as we went through an expansion, and one of the largest Class 2 casino operators in the United States with over 3,800 machines on the Rio Grande River. I mean, you had to go through Border Patrol just to leave town, right? So it was a great experience. It was heavy operational, and we switched out marquee cash systems. We, identified process improvements, and, just being in the mix in the game, as casino operators, man, you got to stay fresh, and you got to be dealing with it every day, every week, to be able to find how you can do something better and how you can grow a team and pull a team together that can deliver a great experience. Because we can spend all the capital in the world, but if we don't build a team that believes in the vision and shares that and treats each other well and works with each other well, you're never going to accomplish what you truly can. So, but once from the Kickapoos, I had been down there about 2 years, and you're on the Mexico border, and I got a phone call from up north, and it was a very powerful, iconic tribe that had built one of the largest facilities that ever existed in Indian gaming back in the day, and this was the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe. And this job was the CFO, not over the casinos, but also the tribal government.
Okay.
And so here I am, and with the dotted line that went to the Economic Development Corp. Still trying to figure that out. Okay. So here I roll in, and I'm like, okay, now I'm leaving the AGM role, and I'm going up here, and I get to run the government and 3 casinos as a global CFO. And I'd always found that in Indian country it was difficult, because you have administrations on the tribe and the government side that provide visions and funding and capital, but then all that expertise in the casino side is on the casino side, and those two have to come together and agree on what needs to be invested and how much does the casino really need, and those become very difficult conversations in capital resource planning, and a lot of times big plans from the casino get stopped. So for me, going up north, and a casino guy now finally is on the government side as an advisor close to the council, and can really communicate what our challenges are as operators on the ground that we're dealing with, and why we need the money that we're doing, and that the competition continues to get better, and we've seen digital gaming on the horizon, these type of challenges. We had said, for me to send that message and work with them, I now could easily bridge that gap. Now, I hadn't done, I'm a CPA, so fund accounting and financial statements and creating budgets and managing, to performance target budgets is something that, I'd done for a career, right? So for me to get involved on the government side, and my dad is a tribal leader, knowing and being part of those, but I had no idea what I was about to experience, because after 5 years in that role and producing every motion that the tribal council does through a finance committee to drive, operations in the casino and also on the government, and being able to work, hand in hand and side by side with the tribal leaders and be able to represent those opinions, I was able to, truly assist the CEO. And I had a CEO there, but we both reported to the council. I didn't report to him. So it was a true partnership.
Yeah.
I said, look, we'll lay the groundwork. Obviously, these casinos are successful, they're profitable, and they need a certain amount of investment. And we're going to have to be those ones to convince them, because it's the only thing that is driving 100% of most tribes, what we call our revenue allocation plan, or our distribution. So we were successful in that effort, and we were able to expand one of their casinos, remodel the main gaming floor, and take on a 500-room hotel remodel, because all of the MEP was, after 22 years and 92% occupancy, it was getting kind of run down, and they couldn't afford, right? And they're staring it down, going, man, how do we get the debt? So unique opportunities in Indian country come up. So they had what's called TED. It's a Tribal Economic Development Bond, and if you get this, you basically get the interest-free government rate on an economic development project. So I was able to commandeer a large tranche of that for debt, and said our hotel is, from an architectural standpoint, separate from the casino, so it can be allowed to use this. And it was signed off and certificates passed, and we got one of the last pieces of TED, and they were able to move forward and remodel that hotel right when we hit COVID. So, and COVID actually became an opportunity to, work through that and get that hotel remodeled. And then it became, okay, great. Here I am sitting on the middle of something unseen, and we're shutting down what had never been shut down on both sides of us, staring around the table, and tribal leaders going, what are we going to do? We didn't know CARES Act was coming. We didn't know American Rescue Act was coming. We were sitting there, shut the casinos down. We're trying to figure it out, what was happening, watching the play. Seeing as the global CFO, all of a sudden you're vaulted right in the middle of a lot of conversations that are critical to keeping government services open, and understanding that a lot of tribes depend on those revenues. So the challenges in shutting down the casinos, we were at odds with the state, because we're a sovereign nation, a nation within a nation with direct federal relationship. So what the state says in the county and the city, you have to take that into the council and say, okay, we're sitting on sovereign land. You're the leaders of this. You have tribal ordinance and codes, and you do have relationships with the entities around you. How do you want to handle this? Because if we open and nothing else is allowed to open, who's going to do so? We as tribes within the state talked to each other and said, look, we're going to open our doors, and this is how we're going to do it. And so we did. Cut down everything and just got the doors open, and we moved forward, and we're able to get that cash flow going. And I was there from the moment to push the button for the CARES Act to get millions of dollars for the tribe, and had to push that button and say, okay, wait for the verification of the email, and you're just waiting for it, and guess what? It gets stuck in the firewall. Yeah, not for 1 hour, not for 4 hours, for 24 hours, and the email to verify all the money that the nation is dependent on. I stayed up all night, had accountants going back and checking, and come to find out, IT saying it's not in the firewall. It is in the firewall. Yeah. Finally, by 9 a.m., they're like, "Oh, here it is," and there's 60 instances of it. Which one do you want? I'm like, "Well, I don't know because I had 4 different accountants try it at 2 in the morning, thinking it was some kind of glut in the system. Just trying everything that I could. Yeah, go last one, click it, boom, oof. Thank God, we get our First CARES Act tranche and are able to kind of get things moving around from the reservation and be able to move that around how we needed to with CARES teams and things like that. So, that was really, I spent 5 years there, and we absolutely, we expanded gaming, added a hotel, we finished a remodel on the floor, we use capital as opportunities for them to lower their operating expenses and make that case to the council and say, look, I don't want to spend $30,000 to rent a stage. Give me $250 and we'll buy it. Okay, these kind of conversations, but they can be tough because capital is sometimes there's other players and there's limited resources and you're constantly going up there and they have a lot of opportunities. It's tough as a tribal leader, and I understand it from my dad's eyes and his roles as being in that and watching through difficult times and situations. So I'm real sensitive to that, and I also understand too that as a tribal nation, these enterprises are what's protecting our sovereignty. It's what we're having to come back upon treaties that were guaranteed that we were going to have peace, security, education, and food. And that in those treaties and what we signed is not exactly what came out of the mix. They were Indian boarding schools that, like my grandmother went to, that were taken from their families at will, forcibly taken from their families and sent to these schools, right? And said you can't speak your traditional Algonquin language, you can't practice your ways, we're going to cut your hair and you're going to be a certain way and here are the trades you're going to do. They said, kill the Indian, save the man. And that was their path forward set by some group in New York on how they were going to handle tribes, and so that history is still there, and that it begins to unfold as we move forward, and people know, and my father calls that the missing generation. He said, son, they took them all, and so for us to rebuild that gap and try and teach us our culture and our ways that we still are able to believe in them, and try and carry it on and fulfill that circle of what it once was is something that we talk about, right? And now some of that is coming to light in Canada and things like that. In these boarding schools, you can Google it and research it, and you'll see what had happened. So in fact, that's where I went, was Haskell Indian Nations University, and it was formerly an Indian boarding school, and it was an all Native American university that I went to. So if you're an enrolled member of a tribe, you can go, and that was part of what the federal government said is education, but far from a Harvard or Yale, right? So I think from spending the 5 years up in Saginaw and then now to my role today. So that's kind of my journey over 20 years in Indian gaming across 3 nations so far. Here I am on my 4th, working with the Forest County Potawatomi Nation of Wisconsin and operating and managing not 1 but 2 casinos. And kind of our path to success is saying that when I came on board, the businesses got shut down from COVID. Well, I just came from all that and managed the businesses through and understood, like, okay, time to get moving. Here's a plan, but you're looking at it, and they have a massive facility. We're talking 200,000 square feet of gaming, 517 hotel rooms, 10 different outlets and restaurants, but none of them branded, all just kind of in that legacy of tribes sometimes don't want to get outside their comfort zone, and they won't partner with outside brands, but we've watched the industry, you've watched Vegas and evolve, and it's become part of who we are. So now's the chance that you have to be mixed up and start growing those ancillary revenues, because entertainment and food drive loyalty and provide that vision for your customers to keep them and providing a very simple but clean, great experience, and you fight every day to make that experience better. and to drive a guest culture around that business. So for me, coming in and watching these businesses and they're sitting around the table going, what are you going to do? And I'm staring it down and I go, I'm going to shut down half the casino. And I'm going to present this plan, and this is a $190 million plan, and we're going to remodel all core gaming areas and prepare the casino to maintain its position, grow its revenues, and provide long-term stability to a business. And the Forest County Potawatomi own a casino in Milwaukee, and we all know it's location, location, location. This is location, location, location. We're not in a region in the middle of nowhere. We're in a downtown metropolis with $1.5 million people and a compact and nobody else but us. So for us to be that shining light for the city and be the casino entertainment destination resort, not just for ourselves, but also to help the city build tax revenues, to generate growth and excitement and bring that level of entertainment to the city is exciting. So we really looked at this plan and said, man, we're going to bring just a unbelievable gaming experience that fits the market of Milwaukee and design it so that it's exciting. And we're going to partner with a brand to anchor our new brands that we bring online. So what you do is you go out and you try and put yourself around really smart people. You treat them like you want to be treated, and you always try and go after and exceed expectations, man. You follow those three things together, and you're liking the people around you, and you're believing in doing something great and fun and exciting. It's contagious and exciting, and people start, believing in the path. I mean, look, I'm remodeling an overdue remodel on a casino, but on the same ticket, I'm also creating a new vision, a new path, and something that never been seen before, and taking gaming and dining to just a phenomenal level that people will recognize and come back for. So we jumped in and partnered with Rock and Bruce. It's a brand from the big Kiss and Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, and we sat down with them, and I sat down with Gene and Paul and said, look, I'm going to build the nicest Rock and Brews restaurant out of your entire set, and I'm gonna spend $5 million, and we're gonna make a stage, and we're gonna mix it with, a casino and bar, and bring this thing to life. And they loved it, and we were able to deliver on that concept. And Gene and Paul broke ground at my restaurant, came back when we opened it, and then they went up and threw a concert, 20,000 people at the end of road tour up north in the middle of Wisconsin, because we're partners. And I said, I need a marketing stunt to make so much noise, and you, as worldwide rock stars, opening your restaurant and going to throw a concert up north in northern Wisconsin and drawing 20,000 people and doing something that never been done was just absolutely a hit. So then we had our own brands. We created a Cream City Coffee, we created a Street Eats, and then a VIP club, because one thing you do if you spend $190 million, you got to ask me, what'd you do for my VIPs? I built you a club, and we call it the 1833 Club, recognizing the powerful treaty of the Potawatomi Nations to remember, so that when you see that and you come be a part of that VIP gaming. We spent $20 million with a marquee craft whiskey bar, gaming slots. We created our own Street Eats company. We started Potawatomi Eats. Yeah, you got Uber Eats, you got Potawatomi Eats. That app, you can order from any of our restaurants anywhere in our casino and go pick it up mobile or from in your room dining. Just open up the app, order it, and get it delivered. And we don't have any cashiers. You got menu boards to order their names, and we have moved past that and integrated that throughout the casino. And now we have some vibrant brands. We kind of followed the model and turned the buffet into a 7-outlet new concept of food that we're able to do cashierless and be able to service the amount of people we're doing. 17,000 people coming through our place on a Friday, Saturday. I mean, we're a major footprint. And no, we're not Las Vegas. We're not, but we don't have big corporate groups that I can lean on and look to. I look to the guy next to me or the gal next to me to my left or right, and talking as a team, trying to be great and keep up with the competition. And we may not be one of the corporate giants, but we work just as hard. We face just as many challenges, and it might be even more difficult in the environment dealing behind a sovereign nation, trying to lead our nations in the right way to secure their businesses so that we can continue to build on our sovereignty, our culture, and rebuild, in some senses, of what that missing generation was, and that's what gaming has really brought to the forefront. And me today, being a part of this path and journey, I was chosen back in '98 to go meet with Bill Clinton, and I spent half the day with him and got in front of 100,000 people and gave a speech saying he was the best leader of the free world, and was really able to cut my teeth and see all the tribal leaders at that time and put me on that path. And somehow I got chosen to be that guy to meet Clinton and introduce him. And so far, 20 years later, here I am still in Indian country, and somewhat of a four-star general across four nations, and now sitting here, commanding the Potawatomi casinos and hotels and building a vibrant brand in the region in Wisconsin, taking on everything in our ecosystem that they're fighting, from cybersecurity to digital gaming to retail sports betting, iGaming, and trying to determine what our corporate path and how we are going to deal with it as a Potawatomi casino and hotel. So hopefully those stories will share in some of the journeys. My dad now is retired. He's a U.S. Vietnam Marine Corps vet, and currently 100% disabled. So he talks with me weekly, call home, still call him Chief, and he gives me lessons and talks to me and continues to encourage me and always wanted me to be on this path, and all support what I'm doing then. And lo and behold, I kind of come back full circle. I started with the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and I made a circle, man, and came all the way back, and here I am with another Potawatomi Nation, the Forest County. And when I got this job, I didn't know it from them. I got a call from a tribal elder that told me congratulations. I was like, well, I didn't even know I got the job. So, that's how small it is, because they knew my dad was a tribal leader, but they also see my background, my education, and knew that I understand who they are, where they come from, and what I'm fighting for, and believed in me and gave me a chance. It was my first CEO role. That might not have happened in other places, but for me to get the chance and break that ceiling and then come and deliver on that promise. And we just opened 107 million with 9 new concepts and 1,400 new slots, and a vibrant gaming area that I think is one of the best and brightest that we're seeing out there in the regional markets and beyond. So super exciting.